Who starts for the Pittsburgh Steelers at inside linebacker this season? And have they found the second coming of James Farrior in Myles Jack? Hello, Steeler Nation, and welcome to the latest episode of your Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate with me, your host, Britsburgh Owen, speaking to you here across the pond in the UK. Guys, the training camp is really hotting up now, and all those competitions amongst a number of different positions like QB, like running back, and even inside linebacker are now hotting up as players battle for their position on the 53-man roster. Here today on the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate, I want to talk about the inside linebacker battle and who should start and who should make the roster. Remember, guys, the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate is your one-stop shop for all the best Pittsburgh Steelers news out there. Hit that subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss any of the current news. So, guys, going into this new season, who is on that inside linebacker depth chart? Well, there's Myles Jack, obviously, the acquisition from Jacksonville. There's Devin Bush, who is going into his final year of his rookie contract and was told that his fifth-year option would not be taken up this year. There's Robert Spillane. There's Buddy Johnson, who last year was drafted and obviously played a very minimal part, only mainly on special teams. Mark Robinson, the one-year linebacker out of Ole Miss. Marcus Allen, the special team ace, and Ug3. So, guys, who starts? Who plays where? Well, defensive coordinator Terrell Austin came out the other day and said this at training camp. Dale Lolly here reporting this. Terrell Austin said the pecking order inside linebacker remains Myles Jack and Devin Bush, followed by Robert Spillane, but said Spillane is keeping himself in the mix. Now, obviously, Myles Jack is the big talent. Myles Jack is having himself a camp. He is looking like a complete and utter stud. He is blowing up plays. He is dominating in backs on backers. This was a great quote the other day from someone, again, Nick Farabaugh of Steelers Now, who was at training camp. Myles Jack again, Benny Snell tries to get through, but Jack sticks him. Some start to camp he's having. And that was describing, obviously, Myles Jack. Apparently in backs on backers, he was undefeated the other day, and he is everywhere. He is sideline to sideline. He is all over the pitch, taking out anyone who tries to get through. Certainly encouraging for the development of the Steelers' run defense for this current 2022 NFL season that is upcoming. And certainly, if we look at Myles Jack's time in Jacksonville, he certainly is a tackle master. He regularly gets over 100 tackles. The last two seasons, 118 tackles in 2020 and 108 tackles in 2021. Add to that as well, some forced fumbles in 2020. We've also got an interception in 2020 as well there. He is a quality player. In total, in his career, where he has played 89 games, 513 total tackles, 335 solo tackles. He is a tackle monster. 178 assists, 6.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 4 fumble recoveries, 3 interceptions, and 15 passes defensed. He is definitely going to be a stud this year for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the question I asked at the start is he the second coming of James Farrior? Certainly that is something that has been quoted by a number of Steelers insiders, saying that he is already starting to display those leadership qualities that Farrior showed after his move from the New York Jets. And he has that tough, hard tackling approach, just like James Farrior had. So we could have found a real defensive leader and defensive captain in Myles Jack, something that the Steelers are definitely looking for this coming season, as they look for an uptake and an uplift in the inside linebacker play after a fairly disappointing 2020 with Joe Schobert, who has now left the team, and Devin Bush, who definitely disappointed last season. But Jack is certainly someone who I think could become a real star and is potentially, I think, a Pro Bowler this year with his play. It, of course, begs the question, who plays alongside Myles Jack? Well, Devin Bush is the obvious candidate, but apparently Devin Bush has not been impressing much in backs on backers. He has been dominated by the running backs. Both Najee Harris and Benny Snell have beaten Devin Bush, and he's looked lethargic at times. So could it be that someone else replaces him? Certainly, Robert Big Play Spillane is having a very impressive camp. He's blowing up plays, he's getting interceptions, he's getting into the backfield and stuffing plays. He's becoming a real physical force at that inside linebacker position. Could he be a new Vince Williams type, that book linebacker that the Steelers have been missing since the retirement of Vinny Vici? That is certainly one possibility. I'm excited to see the development of Robert Spillane throughout his time in training camp this year. In addition to that, it'll be interesting to see in the first preseason game against the Seattle Seahawks who starts and who plays at inside linebacker. Add to that the promise of Buddy Johnson and Mark Robinson. Both have been described as hitting with some serious force and power. My good buddy Chris Carter even tweeted out the other day, Johnson and Robinson are hitting. Ouchie. That looked pretty vicious. Yes, these two guys are really standing out as well. Not yet doing anything remarkable, but certainly looking like very good depth pieces for the Pittsburgh Steelers at inside linebacker. So could it be that Johnson and also even first year, a guy who's only played 1 year at linebacker in Mark Robinson, actually step up into the roster? Robinson certainly seems to be someone who is exciting a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers fans with his play and his enthusiasm and his hitting technique. Certainly his knowledge of how running backs work, given the fact that he is ex-running back, could be extremely useful for the Pittsburgh Steelers this coming season and could be a reason to include him on the 53-man roster. That leaves, of course, Marcus Allen and Ug3. Now, Marcus Allen seems to sneak onto the roster every single year just for his special teams ability. He was drafted as a strong safety out of Penn State, but has been converted to a linebacker by the Pittsburgh Steelers. I very much think that now that Marcus Allen's time with the Steelers is coming to an end. Yes, he is good at special teams, but when you consider that you've probably got the situation where you've got the likes of Benny Snell getting into the team because he's a special teamer, Miles Killebrew because he's a special teamer, Miles Boykin making the team probably because he's a special teamer. You've got Derek Watt because he's a special teamer. You've got a number of other players, like, for example, Jalen Warren has talked also about his desire to become Danny Smith's best friend and become a special teamer. Is Marcus Allen going to be good enough just to get on because of his special teams? Or are the Steelers going to want a bit more strength in depth that inside linebacker position, especially given the uncertainty that currently is over Devin Bush? So it could be a situation now, I think, when Marcus Allen actually misses out. Ug3 has definitely failed to live up to his promise as well. Yes, he can play special teams, but again, how many players can you keep on the roster just because they're good at special teams? That is not a reason to keep them. If we're going to build a truly elite Pittsburgh Steelers defense, like the defenses of the 70s, like the Britsburgh defenses, and like the Super Bowl winning defenses, we need to be looking at developing a real central core of inside linebackers who are extremely talented. It's often said, as go the linebackers, so go the Steelers defense. And when the Steelers defense is at its best, its inside linebackers are at its best. Certainly, if you look back at the last Super Bowl win with Farrior and Foote, two very good linebackers. So, at the end of the day, when it comes to choosing for the 53-man roster, Myles Jack, I think, is a shoo-in after the camp he is having. Devin Bush will make it, I think, just because they've got to give him the opportunity to develop and earn that new contract. But plus also, he is a first-round pick as well. And it's very, very, very rare that first-round picks are cut. Spillane will make it in the third place. And personally, I would pick Buddy Johnson and Mark Robinson to take the last two spots at inside linebacker. I think this would certainly give the Pittsburgh Steelers 5 very good, very solid inside linebackers and set their defense up for a very good season and also help the run defense, which is something the Steelers need to develop after last year's appalling performance in run defense. So, guys, let me know in the comments below, who do you think should make the roster at inside linebacker? What do you think of our new guy, Mark Robinson? And what do you think of Buddy Johnson as well? And do you think Devin Bush is struggling at training camp and is not worth that new contract? Let me know in the comments below. And guys, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. Come and join the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate. Guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for enjoying the content. I'll speak to you again very soon here on the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate. And I'm going to finish this the way I finish all my videos with, here we go, Steelers. Come on.